All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last lesson of the school year. Contain your excitement. But we have one more wonderful lesson with Mr. Wheezy. So, last time we were hitting law of sines. Today we're going to do law of cosines. And I'm going to skip over the kickoff because, hey, it's the last lesson. Let's skip it. Another way to use trig functions, again, with non-right triangles is law of cosines, and this is how this works out. So, still using the same triangle form up here, but it's a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine a. So the side you're looking for, you're going to use that angle, the opposite angle. The rest of this fills in with those other two sides. Same setup, just switching them around depending on which side you're looking for. And again, proof is on page 640 if you want to look that up, but we're going to skip over it. So, first problem. Solve the triangle with A being 60, B being 20, and C being 30. Now, we have our angle. We have two sides. So we're going to look for side A first because we have angle A. So we would set this up, A squared equals, so now B squared, so 20 squared plus C squared, so 30 squared, minus 2BC, so minus 2 times 20 times 30. Cosine of 60. So right now, A squared is going to equal, well, 20 squared would be 400. 30 squared would be 900. 20 times 30 would be 600 times 2 would be 1200. Cosine 60. So if we put this in our calculator, 400 plus 900 minus 1200 cosine 60. And we get 700. Now lastly, we need to get A by itself. So we square root. So A then should equal 26.5. Right. Second square root 700. Yep, 26.5. So now we have a complete set if we want to go back to law of sines. So really, once you get this, you can go ahead and do law of sines to fill out the rest of the stuff because law of sines is going to flow a little bit nicer than working with this stuff. So we have 26.5 over sine 60, 20 over sine B, and 30 over sine B. So focusing on here right now, cross multiply, I would get 26.5 sine B equaling 20 times sine of 60. So divide by 26.5. And then we're going to do the sine inverse of this ratio. So second sine 20 sine 60 divide by 26.5, close it, and we get our 40.8. So essentially that's going to round up. We're going to call this 41 degrees. So B would equal 41 degrees. Well, now we have two of the angles. We can just, this is supposed to be C. So now we can use the triangle sum theorem, which is 60 plus 41 plus C would equal 180. interior angles of a triangle up to 180. 1640 is 101. C would end up being 79. And that was done. So, again, we have B and C, the other two sides, and we have our angle A, the angle in between those two. So when we set this up, we're again going to look for side A. So 7 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 7 times 8 cosine 120. So 7 squared, 49. 8 squared, 64. 7 times 8, 56 times 2, 112. Cosine of 120. So put that in here. 49 plus, or 64 plus 112. Oops, sorry. Get up here in the light. Cosine of 120. Oh, this should be a minus 169. There we go. You gotta look at the right one. Yes, 169. So that is a squared again. So to get out of it, we're going to square root. So a is going to equal 13. And again, from here, set up that law of sines. So 13 over sine 120 equaling 7 over sine B equaling 8 over sine C. So again, let's focus here. We would get 13 sine B, and the other cross, 7 times sine 120. So we would divide by 13 first, and then we would do the sine inverse of our fraction here. So, second sine of 7 sine of 120. Make sure you close those. Divide 13. We get 27.8, so let's call this 28 degrees. So again, we have 120 plus 28 plus C has to be 180. 120 and 28 is 148. C then is 32. Now, what if they don't give you any angles at all? Well, we can still use law of cosines to do that. So we would again set it up here. Let's find angle A first. Actually, I have us finding angle B first. We're going to find angle B first. So, and I think the reason why I'm doing that is this is your biggest angle. So if we find our biggest angle, then we'll be able to find the smaller ones after that. Nicer. So A squared would be, no, let's start B squared. So 9 squared equals A squared, so 6 squared, plus 4 squared with C, minus 2 times 6 times 4 cosine of B. So 9 squared, 81, 6 squared, 36, 4 squared, 16, 6 times 4 is 24, times 2 would be minus 48 cosine B. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to subtract 36 and the 16 over. So 36 and 16 would make 52. 81 minus 52 would be 29. Minus 48 cosine B. So we're going to divide then by the negative 48. And then we're going to do cosine inverse of this here ratio. And that'll give us our angle B. So, second cosine, 29 divided negative 48. And we're 127. So from here, again, we can go back to law of sines. So we have 6 over sine A, 9 over sine 127, and then 4 over sine C. So let's just look at these two. 6 sine of 127. The other cross, sine A, 9, so 9 sine A. So we're going to divide by 9 and then do sine inverse of that ratio to get our A. So second sine of 6 sine 127 divide by 9 and we get our 32. 32, we'll leave that down at 32. So again, 127 plus 32 plus our C equals 180. 127 and 32 would make that 159. So C is going to end up being 21 degrees. So we found it all. So same idea here. Have our A, our B, and our C, those three sides. So we're going to use the law of cosines. Again, B is the bigger one, so let's start with finding angle B first. So 8 squared equals 10 squared plus 5 squared. I already messed this up. This should be 10, and this should be 8. Minus 2 times 8 times 5 cosine B. 10 squared is 100. 8 squared is 64. 5 squared, 25. Minus 8 and 5 is 40. Times 2 would be 80. Cosine B. So 64 and 25 make 89. So we'd subtract that over and get 11. So divide by the negative 80. And then we're going to do cosine inverse of our fraction. So second cosine 11 divide negative 80. And we get 97.9, so let's round that up to 98. So next up, again, set up that law of cosines, a law of sines. Although we could keep doing this one here too and find it all out too. But for now we're going to do law of sines. Get you a little more practice with it as well. Besides, the law of cosines is that equation that Dylan always would write on the top of the board. If you've ever wondered what he was writing, that's what this was. So A is 8 over sine A. B is 10 over sine 98. And C then is 5 over sine of C. Again, we're going to start these first two. So 10 sine A equaling 8 sine 98. So divide by 10, and then do sine inverse of that ratio. So, second, sine 8 sine 98, close it. Again, don't forget to close it. Don't make the same mistake I did. Divided by 10. 52.3. So we'll keep it at 52. So, B is 98, A is 52, 52 plus 98 plus C equals 180. 52 and 98 would make 150. C is 30. All right, last problem of the year. This is the typo. Obviously, this is two airplanes leave an airport at the same time on different runways. One flies on a bearing of north 66 degrees west at 325 miles per hour. The other plane flies on a bearing of south 26 degrees west at 300 miles per hour. How far apart will the airplanes be after 2 hours? So, first things first, let's draw a little diagram here. So, at my origin is going to be the airport. So, first plane is going from the north 66 degrees to the west at 325 for 2 hours. So, 325 times 2 would be 650 miles. The other one would be going south 26 degrees west at 300 miles. So 300 times 2 would be 600. Oh crap, I did this one wrong. Should be west the 66 and the 650. That's what's throwing me off. I'm like, wow, that does not really look like a triangle. This, however, would if we dash this, and we need to find this angle right in here. Well, if you think about it, straight would be 180. So we have 66 and 126, so 180 minus your 66 minus your 26 would end up with 88. So that's what this angle measure is here. We're trying to find this side. We're going to call this X. This here's our 600. This is our 650. We're looking for the other side. So application of where we can use law of cosines in real life. By the way, law of sines, law of cosines, both of these you're going to be doing quite a bit in physics if you take it next year. So, helping you get ready for that. So if we set this up, we don't know b, so b squared equals, or x squared, sorry. Call that x, my bad. So one of the sides, 650 squared, plus the other side, which is 600 squared, minus 2 times 650 times 600 cosine 88. So I'm going to put this all in my calculator since these are big numbers. So 650 squared plus 600 squared minus 2 times 650 times 600 cosine 88. So x squared would equal 755,278. So square root that. X is going to equal then, so second square root second answer 869 miles. So, that's boogieing. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. We are done. So, any questions, comments, concerns, please send me a message on Google Classroom. Email me. Send me a pan. Whatever works for you. Just know that pans may take a little longer for you to respond to. Since there is a next time, guys, I guess we'll just talk to you later.